Look at that. Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we're talking about how fiber makes you thin. Fiber, out of all of the foods that you can eat, is the thing that's going to help you lose weight and live as a thin, healthy person, probably more than anything else. And I know a lot of times protein gets all the top billing as the greatest thing, but it's really fiber. If you focus on fiber, you're going to find that it's a way easier to control your weight, most likely. Again, there's always outliers. So, consult your doctor and your own personal body. But for most people, fiber is the secret weapon. And it's the secret weapon because fiber is probably the number one ingredient that has been removed from the standard American diet, right? Fiber, simply because fiber does not process well. And so a lot of the foods, when they're processed, strip the fiber out. And you have created a diet that is probably very low in fiber. And this is one of the main reasons why you're hungry all the time. I believe that the most satiating ingredient in your food is fiber. Protein satiating too, but fiber is on a whole nother level. And my experience and people I've worked with, when they start increasing their fiber content in the forms of fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, find that their hunger subsides tremendously, which makes a lot of sense because we know about the weight loss medicines, and what they're doing is they're pumping GLP-1 hormone into your body. And that is something that your body makes naturally the more fiber you consume. So when you start eating more whole natural foods that have a high fiber content, it stays in your gut and it satiates you. The magic word, satiating. You feel satisfied longer. And that's the secret to mastering your weight, because when you feel satisfied, it's easier to make the right food choices. And fiber is literally the best way to do that. It's no calories. It passes through you, but it serves a purpose while it's in there of keeping you full. And it's like a superfood for a healthy microbiome. And so, fiber really, if you want to control your weight, should really be one of the very top things you're looking to add more of into your diet. And the beauty is that the best forms of fiber all have the extra benefit of typically being very high nutrient dense foods. And the more fiber you eat, the more nutrient variety you're getting as well. So again, when you start focusing on fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, natural sources of fiber, you're going to find that you transform your body, right? You literally transform what's going on in your gastrointestinal tract, and it changes everything moving forward. So that's the word of the day is fiber. The more fiber that you eat, I think the easier time you're going to find you have eating in a way that helps you live at the weight you want to be at. So if you want some help consuming more fiber, one of the best ways to do that would be to click the link in my bio, go get the hypnosis session, listen to the hypnosis session, watch the video, read the emails, because they will all support you in direct and indirect ways to get more fiber into your body so that you can take control of your weight. So I hope that helps you out. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. Bring them in. Oops. I'll move this over. I hope everyone's having a nice day. Getting ready for the holidays. They're kind of kicking in full gear here. So I hope everyone's having a good time. What's up, Tabitha? How's it going? Tabitha said, give me your favorite fiber options. Yeah, I mean, again, the specifics of what I eat for fiber, I will tell you. But again, my favorite fiber options in a very generic sort of way is fruits, vegetables, greens, beans. You're just to keep it real simple, whole grains. These are real simple forms of fiber. And the specific ones that I like to eat, I get most of my fiber in the form of apples, bananas, greens, my salad every day, which again has a ton of fruits and vegetables in it, carrots, tomatoes, cucumbers, radishes, celery, peppers, onion. Yeah. So again, don't complicate it, and eat natural foods too, by the way. So not like Metamucil, not that sort of fiber, like real food, real fiber. And when you start putting that more of that into your body, it's literally transformative. It's the biggest shift I ever made. I've been a vegetarian for over 20 years, which was a big difference from being a big meat eater to being a vegetarian. But the biggest shift I made in my diet was when I added in salads for lunch, big ass salads, for lunch. And that's been the biggest shift. That really drove my hunger off a cliff. And that's the most dramatic shift I've made. So I try and sing the praises of fiber all the time. It's estimated, no, and I don't remember the number, but no, yeah, it was 130 grams. So I know the paleo movement really focuses on protein, but they have recently come to find out that paleo person was consuming up to 130 grams of fiber a day, which makes sense because, again, it was an easier food to come by. And so we have consistently eaten tons of fiber as human beings. And it's been the number one thing stripped from our diet, over the last 50 to 100 years. And I think that's one of the core reasons driving the obesity epidemic is that people are always hungry, and they're always hungry because they're not eating enough fiber. In addition to the fact that they're not eating enough nutrients as well, micronutrients specifically. But again, you can kind of kill two birds with one stone by eating more whole natural foods, fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, whole grains. And when you do that, again, you're going to boost your fiber intake tremendously, but you're also going to most likely increase your nutrient density and nutrient variety intake. And that makes a huge difference too, because that affects your hunger. What's up, Jen? Happy Wednesday to you. Oh my goodness, Wednesday. Right. Forgot it's Wednesday. It's always nice. Oh yeah, and Tabitha's a low calorie too. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even mention that. I can't believe it. But yeah, those foods are typically, again, have a low calorie density. So, it's one of the hardest things in the world is to get Americans to eat more fruits and vegetables, which I understand why, because we've been so conditioned to have unnatural palates and to, but if you can work those foods into your diet, they will serve you well for a bunch of reasons. What's up, Katie? How's it going? Let's see if there's any questions here. I may have missed. There's one. I don't miss anyone. 968's Camaro. How's it going? Thanks, Jim. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I'll sing the praises of fiber all day long. Irene says, I've been binging. All right. Yeah, people binging all over the place, right? It's kind of it's hard not to binge this day and age. I mean, with the foods we're surrounded by, they're literally meant to be binged. They're scientifically engineered by multi-billion-dollar companies with teams of, brilliant PhD chemists making the most addictive food possible. So yeah, you're probably going to binge. That's what it's built to do. So on top of that, then there's all the social conditioning of binging. So yes, binge behavior is obviously a big challenge for a lot of people. And, it's a thing. So, and Taylor's version says, hello, I'd like to ask, what do you think about intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting, it's fine. I mean, it's a tactic though. You know what I mean? Like it's like, I don't know if you, I'm trying to think about a way to put it. I'm thinking musically. It's like, hey, what do you think about chords? It's fine. It's not the whole story though. Very few people are going to intermittent fast and be successful. Because why would you? If you're not changing your mindset, any diet tactic is probably not going to work very long. And that's all intermittent fasting is for most people. Now, it's a fine tactic. I use it myself. I think there's a lot of value to it, especially in this culture we live in where we're just eating all day long. I mean, I used to eat I would eat 6 times a day. I'd eat breakfast, I'd snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. That really wasn't a snack, the nighttime thing. It was like a second dinner almost. But basically, I would just eat all day. So, intermittent fasting is just a tactic to, eat in a smaller window of time. And again, I think there's value to it considering the context we live in. And I do it. Now I started 30 years ago. It wasn't called intermittent fast. It wasn't called anything. I just started doing it where I created a bigger window of time between when I stopped eating and when I went to bed. And I just did this. And I still do it to this day. And it's a very valuable piece of the puzzle, but it certainly is not the whole puzzle. So, again, that's my feeling for it. And I say that to you because, I know a lot of people have tried intermittent fasting and it hasn't worked for them. And so, oh, that didn't work. Well, no diet tactic is going to work for you. Every diet is built around the one thing. It's a marketing concept. And it's the idea that, dieters in general, the people that diets are appealing to are overwhelmed and exhausted. And so they need to make the diet seem as simple to understand as possible conceptually. And so you see a stream of all the diets are really built around one simple concept. Intermittent fasting is don't eat for 16 hours. Weight Watchers, just count your points. Calorie tracking, just count your calories. Certain diets, just eat 1,000 calories a day. Keto, just don't eat carbs. And it just goes on, right? Every diet is one thing because conceptually, like, oh, I could do one thing. And conceptually, it sounds so easy to do any of those until you go to do it and you realize it's a lot harder than you thought. And it's harder than you thought because you don't have a robust, holistic strategy and you got a trash mindset. I mean, your mindset's fucked. So it's like, I don't know, you're going to bring an overweight diet or mindset into any diet and succeed, which is probably why 95% of people that rely on diets fail. So intermittent fasting on its own, good luck. It probably won't work. Intermittent fasting as a tactic that you use as part of a holistic strategy, I think is great because I think giving your body a break from eating is wonderful. One of the greatest things I ever decided to do. It feels amazing. And because I do it right before bed, where I have that window, and I usually, again, intermittent fasters would say I'm not intermittent fasting probably because I do it, 13 hours. I usually stop eating around 6, 7, start eating around 7, 8. And so, well, you're missing out on the most important hours. That's bullshit. That's all bullshit. It's just 2 more hours not eating. And then what I see most of the time in the real world, what I see intermittent fasting doing is being a great way to train yourself to be a binge eater. That's what I see most of the time is that people try an intermittent fast and they get themselves so hungry that by the time their eating window opens up, they're now so hungry that they're way overeating. So that's usually what I see more happening with intermittent fasters. But again, I like it as a tactic, but I don't love it as the complete approach. So those are my thoughts. And whoops, shit, there it is. This phone, why does it keep doing that? And I got a question from Jen over here I want to get to, but I just wanted to catch up with the questions on TikTok because it's hard to catch them. Hello, Summer One. How's it going? Yeah, Jen says, how do I determine how many pleasure days I should have? How do you determine that? It's not, I don't know. It's like, how do you determine that? It's not like a set answer in stone. It's kind of like what works for you. So, I would want to know, like, where are you at with your weight? If you're at your goal weight, that's going to give a different answer than if you're losing weight phase. So, I can't really answer that. So that's the first piece. The second piece is, how do you feel? If you have one pleasure day, how does that feel for you? If you had 2, how would that feel? If you had 3, how would that feel? So it's not like an easy answer. It's kind of like taking a lot of different things into account and kind of figure out what works best for you. So for me, I can only share with I started off with 1 clean day and moved it up to basically, I think of it as 4.5 clean days of eating. And then I have the pleasure days. And again, pleasure days are still structured, so they're not binge days, but they're just a different focus. Okay, Julie says 1 pleasure day on Saturday for me. So again, yeah, 1, 2 is probably the quick answer, but again, nothing's really a quick answer at the end of the day. It's about, what your situation is and what feels best for you. So for me, now again, you say, well, most dieters are going to say, well, I'll have no clean days or no pleasure days because I want to lose weight quick. And a lot of people will make that decision about how many days to have based on how quickly they want to lose weight. And so they will choose no pleasure days to 1 pleasure day, maybe, or whatever. And what I would suggest is that you start to look at where's your stress level, right? Because again, we have to pay attention to our deprivation level. Because if we say, okay, no pleasure days. Well, okay, that sounds great logically, how fast I'll lose weight. But as soon as you say, I'm not going to have any pleasure days, you all know this, your keto people know this. As soon as you're like, I'm not going to have any carbs, well, first day, okay, fine. But then there starts to become this pressure that you start feeling this deprivation, this anxiety about how long am I not going to eat carbs for? And you got to be aware of that pressure, because that pressure is going to kick you off your plan eventually. You're not going to outlast the pressure. So we respect the pleasure, and we honor it, and we minimize it by adding the pleasure days we need to keep ourselves in balance. That's kind of the long and the short of it. I think I'm at goal, LOL. All right. So yeah, if you're at goal weight, then now it becomes experimenting. How many pleasure days can I have and still remain at my goal weight? How many pleasure days do I want? I love my schedule. And so the 4.5 days I talk about, really, it's like Monday to Friday afternoon. It's really my focus, and my goal is to be clean. That's my intention. I want to eat clean foods, healthy foods, foods that are built for fueling my body. That's my focus. And on the pleasure days, again, I'm still eating clean foods as well, but there's space there for more pleasurable foods, more fun foods. And so I have experimented with that. And it turns out for me that having the 2.5 days of pleasure days, I'm able to maintain my weight, and it feels very comfortable for me. So again, I wish I could just give you a real simple answer, but you have to take a couple things into account. So it's not just a simple answer. I'm going to center this shot here. There we go. Summer One says, I think the impatience is what kills most diets. We expect so much so soon. I couldn't agree more. I agree so much with that statement. I think that the diet industry, man, it's crazy. It's crazy how messed up the diet industry is. But that's one of the big things they put in your head, is this very short time frame. I think that's right. Central, fundamental why diets fail so often is that this idea, this impatience. Every time you go into your weight loss, there's really is this time frame of how can I lose the weight as fast as possible. And I think as soon as you start thinking that way, you're already on a path of failure here, I think. And it's just a matter of time until you quit, because you're never going to lose weight quick enough. You can never lose weight fast enough. It's always too slow. We always expect more. And so you've got to manage that impatience as a core part of your strategy, I think. Definitely agree with that. Which is why the shift from weight loss to weight mastery, I think, is important, because when you start focusing on weight mastery, it's a forever process, which shouldn't be that hard. Again, diet mindsets and thinking has infected your brain, or dieters' brains anyways. And they think in terms of how fast they can lose the weight. And they think really just in terms of losing the weight. How long will it take me to lose the weight and get to my goal? But weight mastery is all about how long can I live at my goal weight. So the goals are completely different, and they exist within completely different time frames. And I think, if you think about brushing your teeth, that's a time frame you've internalized as being forever. You never think to yourself like, oh man, I can't wait till I turn 80 and then I'm gonna stop brushing my teeth. Like, you wouldn't think that. It's a weird thought to have, right? But when it comes to weight loss, subconsciously, you're always thinking like, I'm going to do this until I lose the weight. Well, what are you going to do then? And so that framing really contributes as well to the impatience, Jen says, thank you. I'm going to experiment after the new year and try to keep as is for the holidays. Yeah, smart move, Jen. I think that's a real smart move. Holidays really, in my world, that's really all about maintenance. When it comes to the holidays, now again, it's not saying you can't focus on weight loss during the holidays. Of course you can. But for most people, it's a busier time of year. There's more tempting foods around. There's more social things, and it's harder to eat as well to lose weight. It's not impossible. But for most people, it's so fun. I was just doing a coaching call, and this is what it comes down to. If you want to know why you do what you do, it's all about quality of life. And so for a lot of people, dieters especially, the holidays become, I can either lose weight, because dieters live in an either or world, all or nothing world. And so when the holidays come, it's either I can go through the holidays and be miserable and not eat anything I like to eat, or I can just eat everything I want to eat, forget thinking about my weight, and then I'll start again in January. And so what they never consider is the idea of how can I enjoy the holidays even more by eating well and staying in control. Now, that's a question no dieter ever asks. And the answer to that is that by practicing your moderation, by practicing staying engaged with your core healthy habits, you can absolutely go through the holidays and I don't know, you put a pound or two on maybe, or maintain your weight, and it's great. You're still in the game though. And most dieters are going to completely check out for December. So anyway, someone says, good. I think I have found balance. It's been a long road. Great job, someone. I'm proud of you. Yeah. It's always a long road, no matter what. I mean, hopefully, because you want to be your goal weight forever. That's why, right? So great job though. It feels good when you accomplish something, that's what I try to say to everyone. Like, it's the intrinsic value of sticking with something that's hard and difficult and then getting good at it is, to me, like one of the most enjoyable experiences of life. And weight's no different. It's I don't know, it's a path you walk forever. As long as you're alive, you're going to have a weight and a health and a way of eating and living. So I don't know, this idea of dieting, that you're going to do something for what, this much time, you're going to diet until you lose the weight. And then what? It's the dumbest shit on the planet. And it's just mass psychosis, mass hypnosis, whatever. It's mass something. And it's crazy. What's up, Nura? How's it going? I have a question that is always relevant, but mostly during holidays. People pleasing in food. Yeah. How do you advise people go about it? Yeah. The people pleasing. I think it's a great, great, great opportunity to practice working on the people pleasing aspect of it, right? Because you're in different situations where the food is given to you as a gift, and what are you going to do? Say no to it? This is a conversation that I think most dieters just ignore, is how your new eating habits are going to impact your relationships, because they do. Food is central to humans. And so a part of this journey is, how do you deal with saying no to people's expressions of love, which a lot of times comes through food? It's real. And I don't think it's ever really talked about enough. So what do you do with it? There's a couple different strategies. The first one is, I think it requires a bulletproof mindset. And so what I mean by that is, I like to reinforce my motivation by focusing on, when I go into the holidays, what's important to me. And what's important to me is my health and my happiness and being the person I want to be, right? Now there's the expectation level. What do I expect out of myself during the holidays? Now, I intentionally think of the holidays as a time of the year. I would say this, like, I got clean and pleasure days during the week, and December is kind of a pleasure month. So I definitely ease off a bit on my eating and my wine consumption during December the most. Now, I don't go crazy with it again. So it's an opportunity to practice moderation too. And so I do practice moderation during this as well. But that's the preliminary work. I want to reinforce my motivation, get clear on my expectations. And I'm not expecting to be perfect during December. I'm going to eat some cookies. I'm going to drink some wine. I'm enjoy myself, but I don't go crazy with it. And then becomes, how do I want to deal with other people if that's an issue for me? And so I go into those situations having a rock solid mindset with specific expectations that allow me to be a little more flexible. Now, let's just say that I have a family member that always makes cookies, and I don't want to eat all the cookies, but I do want to eat some of them because I enjoy them, and I want to show gratitude for the person that made them for me. So I go into it saying, what would be the best case scenario here? The best case scenario is I let this person know, thank you for the cookies. They're delicious. Wonderful. There's that situation. Another situation is, you might go out with some friends and you guys always go out and eat cheesecakes together. You go cheesecake hopping. And now all of a sudden you go out and you're not eating, you don't want to eat 5 cheesecakes. What do you do in that situation? It's going to break rapport. That's a more challenging situation. But again, I want to go into it with a bulletproof mindset, expectations that I'm going to eat some cheesecake, but I don't want to eat as much cheesecake as I used to. And I'm going to articulate that to them. And I'm going to say, I'm going to reinforce the love piece and say, hey, I'm really excited to hang out with you guys. I look forward to this all year long. This year's a little different though. I'm not going to eat as much cheesecake as I normally do. So can I just grab a couple bites of yours each time, or can we split some, or can we do it a little slightly different way? I'm just eating a little different. I'm more sensitive to the food, and I'm not eating the way that I used to. And that kind of gives you the next one, And what ends up happening is that you, what was I going to say? Just lost my train of thought. I've been up since I got up early this morning. My brain's a little distracted here. Nah, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh well. But so yeah, the people pleasing piece of it is that's what I was gonna say, is that I like to reinforce with the person, because again, a lot of times the food is kind of like this thing that symbolizes this love, but it's just the thing that symbolizes love. It's not the actual love itself, right? And so I like to reinforce that. I went through this. You got family members. I'm Greek. Greek is food's like the main currency of love. I swear to God. So when I was changing my eating, a lot of people felt rejected that I wasn't eating that food and I wasn't accepting their expressions of love. And so what a lot of times what ends up happening is you get in that situation, you get pissed off. You're like, what the hell? I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to do better here. And now you're tempting me and you're trying to sabotage me. And we kind of go into that attitude. I certainly did. But I would say now, with the years of wisdom behind me, what I realize is that person just kind of felt snubbed a bit. And so now I make a point to express, I love you. I really appreciate this. This means a lot to me. I love your whatever food, and I will eat some of it. And so I'm validating all that love, but then I'm also saying, as much as I have to, and again, I'm trying to fly under the radar as much as I can. Okay. But when I have to actually address it, geez, you're not eating all the cheesecakes like you used to. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. Like this year, I'll use an excuse and I'll say, yeah, I'm a little more sensitive to food. I don't know what's going on with my body lately. I'm not going to say I'm trying to lose weight. I can tell you that. Never say that. Usually say, I don't know. I'm not really feeling that way. I'm not really feeling that way. I don't really feel like eating that stuff. So anyways, it's a multifaceted solution. And so I try and validate their love by saying, I love you. I love hanging out with you. And I love these cookies. But I'm just not eating as many as I used to. And that can work a lot of wonders. You'll still get the stuff, but again, at least you're on firm ground with a firm, bulletproof mindset, expectations. I'll eat some cookies, an expression of validation. I still love you, but I've just kind of eaten differently lately, and then take it from there. And I know there can still be other issues that go on there, but anyways, aren't you that family member? That's part of what distracted me. I'm the family member that makes cookies. That's funny too. Yes, I make a bunch of cookies, and I ate a bunch of cookies. But I don't give a shit. I'll do it around the holidays. Again, that's part of my I have like a long-term plan now. So part of my eating well all year is it gives me the freedom to eat more cookies during the holidays, which is kind of a sweet spot for me. Julie says, I just started saying I'm not hungry right now. No one questions the skinny person saying she's not hungry. Agreed and agreed. Exactly. But I will tell you, the number one thing is please don't mention you're trying to lose weight. Whatever you do, that is like waving a red flag in front of a bull. Do not mention that you're trying to lose weight. I'd suggest you don't say that you're trying to eat healthier even. I would say, and I do not mind. I'll say whatever I can say to get me out of the situation. As long as I'm not hurting anyone, I will have no problem saying, my stomach's a little upset. Not feeling quite right today. Not sure what's going on. Got no problem with that, because people usually let that go. But if you say, I'm trying to eat better and lose some weight, it's just like, you couldn't say anything to get them to try harder to get you to eat bullshit if you said that. So, but yeah, that's an issue for real. That's such a real thing. So yeah, but again, you can get better at it, folks. Again, there's strategies, and that's what I want you to realize. I'm going through a bunch of strategies. Some may resonate, some may not. But again, I want you to think of the question is always starting, how can I eat the way I want to when I'm around people? How can I handle, people pushing food on me? Hannah says, can you please help us to stop thinking about food? Can I help you to stop thinking about food? How would I do that? Could I do that? I could. You would have to listen to the hypnosis session I made for you, though. So if you go to click the link in my bio and go get the free hypnosis session I give you, go listen to that. That'll help you think less about food. But ultimately, it becomes a process. Like because here's the thing, too. The first thing you got to understand about, if you don't want to think about food, the first thing I understand is understand your mind a little bit. And you're a subconscious person, and your subconscious works different than your conscious mind, meaning that subconsciously, your subconscious mind does not understand the difference between vivid imagination and reality, and it does not understand negatives. So if I tell you, don't think about, so get your willpower ready and don't think about what I'm about to say. Don't think about a banana. Don't think about a banana. Don't think about, stop thinking about a banana, right? It causes your mind to think about a banana. So if you want to stop thinking about food, the best thing you can do is to start thinking about something else, right? Because thinking about food or not thinking about food, okay, now think about food. Now stop thinking about food. Now think about food. Now stop thinking about food. What's the difference? Nothing. This is why diets are so insidious. I know they do this on purpose, but when you go on a diet, what are you focused on? All the food you're not supposed to eat, right? And that was the other piece, that your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between vivid imagination and reality. This is why you go to movies, watch TV shows, because you watch a horror movie and you're nervous and tense. Why? You're in a safe place. You just watched a comedy and you were laughing, and now you're nervous and tense. Well, how's that happening? It's because your mind imagines the scenario that you're watching, and your imagination makes it real in your body. Your body responds to your imagination if it were real. So even though you're in your safe home, no danger, you're feeling, you're all tense and nervous. Same thing with sports, right? You lazy ass sit on the sofa, you got adrenaline running through your body. How'd that happen? Because your mind puts itself into the sporting event and it makes it real. So when you focus on the foods that you're not supposed to eat obsessively, you start craving them, you start imagining them, and all the rest of it. So if you want to stop thinking about food, the best way you can do that is to start thinking about something else. And that's what Program Yourself Thin does. It's about thinking about who you want to be. Again, Program Yourself Thin, we take your weight loss, wrap it in personal development. So it becomes all about who you want to be. That becomes the majority of our thinking. You dieters are always obsessively focused on what you have to stop eating, right? Which is focusing yourself on food. You dieters are obsessed with food. That's your problem. It's hard to stop thinking about food when all you think about is food, right? So I would suggest, if I wanted you to stop thinking about a yellow banana, I wouldn't tell you to stop thinking about a yellow banana. I wouldn't have you go on a banana diet. Would I? Is there any way to get you to think about bananas more than to put you on a anti-banana diet? The one goal is don't eat bananas. No, that would obsess you on bananas. So what might work better is if I tell you the story about, I don't know, how I saw a car accident a couple months ago. I was driving down the lane, and all of a sudden I saw the car that was coming this way disappear, and it disappeared. And then I heard a crash. Thank God it wasn't me in front, because, whatever, it wasn't deadly, but the car swerved right over. Luckily I saw it far enough and I stopped. But on top of that, this literally happened on top of a steep ass hill, and it was right on the edge of it. And so I was like, oh my God, please do not let me see a car go over this cliff. Like, imagine that. Like, literally, it was like a movie, right? And it's like, it didn't, thank God. And everyone was fine and all the rest of it. But the point is that you're probably not thinking about bananas now, right? Because, I don't know, does that make sense? Maybe I'm just nuts, but there's a lot of wisdom in that whole thing there. But I guess the point being, don't focus on what you don't want to think about. Focus on what you do want to think about. So, yeah, that's that. So Hannah says, makes sense. That's exactly what happens when I think about diet, is all the food I can't have. Exactly. So again, Program Yourself Thin is uniquely different, because Program Yourself Thin is really built to be an inside out weight loss process, meaning that the first thing that changes is how you think about yourself, how you think about food, how you think about your lifestyle, all these things. We focus on who do you want to be? And we obsessively focus on that, and we will it into reality, but that's the focus. What do you want to eat? How do you want to live? What do you want to think? What do you want to feel? Who do you want to be? And we get obsessed with that. and we put as much energy as possible into those things. And dieting's a big old trap. I mean, you guys ain't never going to lose weight with dieting. I don't know. I always think every day I try to find clearer and clearer ways to say it. I mean, it's got an estimated 5% success rate. And, with that 5% success rate, 5% of people that go on a diet are able to keep the weight off long-term. And I would bet, I don't know the numbers to this, but I'm going to just assume that 5% probably, the majority of that 5% probably succeed the first couple times they go on a diet. They're probably just people that just take the diets. So I would imagine that after you failed on a diet 3, 4, 5 times, I bet that number is probably less than 1%, which is probably where you're at. You've probably tried lots of diets. And so you have to ask yourself the question, what's going to change? What's going to change between now and me starting a diet and just killing it on the diet? That's a great question to think about. Yeah, Julie says, when I get really busy at work, I forget to eat lunch. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's a lot of wisdom in that statement, which is why I say, in the program yourself, then we always talk about the 8 core lifestyle habits, but the 2 bonus ones is learning. And then the most important one of all, I think, the most important bonus one is having a hobby. A lot of people struggle with their weight because they're bored out of their minds. They're so bored that the food is the biggest source of entertainment they got. And so if the food's the biggest source of entertainment you got, you're going to have a hard time losing weight, because deep down, you don't want to be a bored, thin person. So good job, Julie. That's true. That does happen. That happens to me too. And that's why I keep myself busy and engaged with things that I find really interesting. That's a big part of weight mastery. Can you imagine? So yeah. All right. I gotta get out of here. I got a lot of stuff to do and I'm take a nap. I'm tired. So again, if you're not in my world, go over to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session, watch the video, read the emails. I got some free stuff coming probably this weekend to help you get through the holidays in a calm, peaceful, relaxed way. And all that'll be available to you. There's going to be a community area that's coming along. So go make sure you opt in, and I'll see you in there. And again, this is a podcast, so you can get on here any day. I'm usually live Monday through Friday, right around noon Eastern time. And if you ever want to listen to the replays of this, it's at Program Yourself Thin is the name of the podcast. And it's all on all the major podcast platforms. And yeah, I'll see you there. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a super day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.